play it back whenever you want. Okay, so typically when we talk about websites, we refer to basically what's called the front end and then the back end.
Yeah.
The back end being where you would edit things that people would see on the front end. So the front end is basically just customer based. So this is the front end of your website. So this is what the customer would see.
Yeah.
But then you have a login area which you would make edits to. So to get to this, let's just log out a second. Let's click this down. To get to this, what you need to do is you just say /admin on the end of your URL.
Right. Okay. So that's it, is it?
Yeah, and then that will take you to a login page. The reason we don't have it up here is, well, we normally do for like shop sites, but that's because there is like a user area anyway. So when someone makes an order, they still need to create an account.
Yeah.
But for your site, obviously, we don't want people to be creating accounts because there's no real benefit to them doing so. So the admin area is really just for you.
Yeah.
So then you can log into here. I have set you up a login, but I have to resend you your password for it.
Yeah.
And then you'll come to this page, which is the home page of the back end, essentially.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So this is so I'll go down through the left-hand side of the main things you sort of will do, and I've just added in today some kind of quick links into things that I think you would probably spend most of your time in. So rather than using this left-hand menu here, these are kind of like the common areas you'll use.
Mm-hmm.
If you find yourself using some other stuff, then I can obviously add it into here as well. So basically on the left-hand side, then the first thing you've got is data, and all data is essentially things coming into your site. So that would be emails, an audit of the site, so who's using the site and what they're doing. So that's mainly going to just be us updating pages, and obviously you'll be in there soon as well.
Yeah.
Emails, you can see basically what emails are being sent from the site to people. So this is essentially the forms, like the request a quote and get in touch forms. They obviously send a confirmation to the user to let them know that their form's been submitted.
Yeah.
Did Richard sort you out with that now? So you are getting
no, I still need to. I was going to speak to you about it today, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so I'm still, I mean, I don't think, I mean, you can see from there, we've not had any other requests apart from that on there. That guy the other, like last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, so if I go to form results, there's obviously going to be a lot of test ones in here, but there was this one from this Richard.
Yeah, so I don't think we've had any more apart from him.
Okay, so you haven't received any of these test ones?
Yeah, so the test ones I've got, because I've done a test one myself as well, it went straight into my junk.
Okay.
So I just need to work out how to get out of my junk. I did say unjunk it, whatever. I did try and undo it, but it still continued to go to junk.
Okay. Yeah, we can sort that out later, I think. So,
yeah.
I mean, the only ones you've had since the 14th are just test ones, I think. So
yeah, that's it. I mean, to be honest, a lot of people, well, we've had, I think this website went live for about 10 minutes. We got info on straight away. We're getting a lot through the info. They're just going info and they'll go into their emails and send us an email.
Yeah, like you might find, obviously we can't track this, so we don't know exactly where the inquiries are coming from, but like you say, they can just literally go to the email address and email you directly.
Yeah.
Or they might just give you a call. So
yeah.
It's hard to tell where they're coming from, because they might just pick up the phone. They're not going to say, "Oh, I'm here from the website." They'll just be like, "Oh, can you do this for me?" But don't really know. So that's why we got the Google Analytics, so we can kind of see the traffic coming through. So if we see quite a high level of traffic, then we'd kind of expect there to be a proportionate level of inquiries.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as you're getting calls, emails, increased then that's all good news. So they don't have to come through the request a quote. It depends what your customer base is like. They might be the type of customers that just are happy just to give you a ring.
Yeah, I mean,
just give you a direct email.
Yeah, I normally find they've got a lot to say.
Yeah, so they probably don't want to put it on a contact form.
Yeah. But no, it was really interesting actually. Yeah, I was doing some work last night, and I was trying to look for something through Google.
Yeah,
I put in soakways installations. I was trying to find some imagery, and man, I must have scrolled down a couple of pages, and it was the first time I've ever seen a picture from our website was on that imagery on Google, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I will say that it will take a few months for it to like start picking up really, because it takes Google a while to even recognize that the website's changed. So even when we flipped the website over, whenever we did on the 4th or 5th of Jan, Google won't pick that up straight away. So it should be like a slow and steady kind of increase. As you're going through there, really. And obviously, once the marketing team get involved a little bit later down the line, whether it's through SEO organically, or PPC, then you'll see an even bigger uptick. So, yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but it will just generally, hopefully, just keep ticking up, if that makes sense.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so then you've got login attempts. Again, it's not really massively useful for you because you're just a brochure site, so it's not like a shop site where you're going to have loads of people logging in. It's only going to be us and yourselves logging into the back end, so not really massively important. So we could just hide that one really, just to make it a little bit easier for you to see. User removal request is just a standard module which we just install on every site these days because it's just a GDPR thing. But obviously, again, because it's only ourselves and you that are actually admin users, then obviously we wouldn't create a user removal request. If you ever did have like a user area where you might set people up with their own portal or something like that, then that's when that would become useful. So if they want to remove their information from your database or whatever, they would have to request it. And that's just something legally that you have to kind of do. Okay, so next is content. So this is where I see you spending most of your time making some tweaks or adding some new blog posts and showcases in. So you've got blog posts, pages, and showcase items, and we'll go into each one of those in a little bit more detail shortly. So we're just set up. I know your site's live now, but we're set up like a test blog post, a test page, and a showcase item, and we're just we'll play around and then we'll just turn the page off once we're done, so it doesn't actually matter too much. Then you've got structure. So this is kind of setting up your category. So this should pretty much be how you wanted it anyway, but you can obviously you can edit it if you wanted to. So if I was to come into categories, you've got your kind of 3 main categories here. So you've got about as well, but you've got commercial, domestic, and eco. And what that essentially means is when you do create a page, you can choose which category that page sits under. So if you wanted to create a new page under domestic, then you would choose the domestic category. But like I said, that's probably all been set up for you, ready to go. Layers, we won't worry about too much for today. That's just to do with widgets. So again, we won't worry about that. Menus, you've just got one menu here. So if I click menu items, you'll see it's just a kind of a list of what's going on here. So you have what's called a parent, and that basically decides where it sits under. So for example, you've got water boreholes and it has a parent of commercial. So you'll see when I hover over a commercial, you've got water boreholes as a menu item there. Again, that's probably been set for you unless you're thinking of adding any new pages in. I doubt this will change too much. So it's probably not something you need to concern yourself with too much. Sitemap, again, that's all set up for you, so you don't need to worry about that one. Tags, so we'll probably come to that a bit more when we do a blog post, but you can kind of have like a tag on a blog post. So essentially you could tag it by service, or maybe again by sector. So if you're specifically creating blog posts to do with a certain sector, say commercial, you could tag it with a commercial tag. So then someone could filter by commercial blog posts, and then they'd see all of the commercial blog posts. So if they're only interested in one area, they could then filter the blog post down for what they want to do, what they want to see.
Yeah.
But I think at the moment, obviously, I don't think it's necessary because there isn't any blog posts on the site yet. We've kind of hidden it a little bit.
Yeah.
So until you have like 10 or so blog posts in here, I don't think there'd be any point of adding tags in. So it might be an exercise to do come 12 months time. So once you've added a few blog posts in, you can kind of go back through and re-tag them if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Widgets. So widgets are things like banners and anything a little bit more special outside of a normal page. So if I was to go to water boreholes, like this would be like a widget, whereas this main text here is just part of the page.
Right. Okay,
again,
cool.
those are all set up for you, so no need to worry about that too much. Then you got tools. Again, export users, not really massively useful for you because it's only going to be us that control it and yourselves as a user of the site. You got forms in here, so you can create some new forms. So we've got 2 forms at the moment, but if you were to have another one, you can kind of add your own form.
Yeah.
And you can kind of get quite complex with it as well. So you could have like a multi-step form, which basically means instead of all the questions being on one page, you can kind of have like a next and previous sort of layout to it. So if it was quite a long form or something you're asking from them, you can kind of break it down just so it's easier for them to fill out.
Right, okay.
Generate XML sitemap. That's basically what's called a scheduled task. So we do that anyway. And what it essentially is we submit the XML sitemap to Google, and it lets Google know what pages exist on your website. So whenever you create a new page, we would regenerate the sitemap to let Google know that page exists. It doesn't mean Google knows about it straight away. It just means that it kind of it speeds up the process, really. So it gives them a little bit of a heads up. So it kind of gives them an indication to kind of go back with their bots and scan the site again and read it through. And then you've got your media. So this is split into 2 sections. So you've got your images and your files. So files being like any PDFs or things like that you'd want to display on the front end of the site. And then your images being obviously your main images.
Yeah.
I've kind of put these in folders to hopefully it makes a little bit more sense. So it's commercial. You've got all your like commercial photos in here.
Yeah.
And you can obviously add some new photos as well. And we'll go through this in a little bit more detail shortly when we set up a page. And you can create new folders, but I think there probably is a folder that already exists for you to use.
Yeah.
And then finally, you've got the admin, but this, I don't think there's anything in here that you really need to concern yourself with because these are all kind of just settings. So we've kind of set these all up for you. So just having a look down here. The only thing you may ever come across is this thing called locked content. And what you'll see is on pages, you'll see that all of these you can click on them, and then up here you'll be able to click edit. But what you might come across is a little padlock button.
Yeah.
And what that usually means is either someone like myself or another one of my colleagues is currently editing that page. So it stops you from going into it and editing it as well, because obviously you can't have 2 versions of the same page.
Yeah.
But what happens sometimes is you might find that someone was editing a page and then they just closed their browser down and they didn't save or publish their changes or close it fully down. So the page stays locked. It basically just means you can't get into it. So what you can do is you can come down to admin locked items. There's none in there at the moment, obviously, and you can just literally click unlock. So
right, okay.
I don't think you'll see that at all, really, because you normally typically see that if you had multiple people working on a site.
Right.
Say you had yourself and Matthew working on the site at the same time, you might find that you're trying to edit 2 pages at the same time. Yeah. But if it's just going to be yourself, then you're not really going to bump into any problems. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll just set up a fake test page just to show you how it works. And then we'll do the same with blog posts and showcases. And then hopefully that'll be a good example as to how you would just maintain all 3 sections.
Yeah.
So again, you can either come to content here on the left, or I've created this quick link for you. So we'll start with pages as they're the most simple ones to do. And then we'll go to blog posts and then showcase last. So if I click into pages, you'll see this is all of your pages that are on your site currently. So all of your services, any sectors on here are all on this list. And you can see what category they sit under. Yeah. So along the top, you've got 4 buttons really, which are standardized across everything under content. So if I go here, well, there is no blog post, but you would have the same. So new, edit, versions, and delete. Yeah. So new obviously creates a new page. Edits an existing page. Obviously you have to click which item you want to edit first and then click edit. Versions is quite a cool feature where we basically save a version of the page every time you make a change. Mm-hmm. So if I was to come into, say, drilling, how it works, let's see if there's any versions in here. So you'll see there's 4 different versions in here. And what you can do is you can kind of reinstate, or in other words, undo any changes that you wanted to do. So if you ever made a change to a page and you looked at it and you're like, oh, that's not how I wanted it to work, or something like that, you can kind of come back to a previous version and reinstate it. Right, okay. And what you can do as well is, if I click view, probably not the best example. Let's try and find a different one. Try and think of a page that I've edited a bunch of times. Maybe the land survey page. Yeah, so I made an edit on the 3rd of Jan. So here you can see that this first paragraph has changed. So red is the old text and green is the new text. So if I wanted the red text back, then I could just reinstate that version. Yeah. So you can kind of see the differences, the changes between version 3 and 4. Obviously this will have no highlight sections because this is the current version. So, yeah. So if I wanted to reinstate that version, I would simply just click reinstate and it would just swap that back out. Yeah. And it would save it as version number 5. So you could then even go back to version number 4 if you wanted to. So no version is kind of left not being saved. So you'll always have like a backup. Yeah. And then finally you've got delete, which obviously deletes a page, but there's actually a preferred method that we kind of ask you to do when deleting a page. Yeah. And that is basically to make a page inactive. Yeah. And that essentially does everything a delete does, apart from we can kind of get it back. Once you delete a page, it's kind of gone forever essentially. Whereas if you make it inactive, it means it won't be visible on the front end, so we won't be able to find it. But we can still find it on the admin panel by toggling this active yes or no. Okay, cool. And what that just means is, like, let's say you just stopped doing soakaways for 6 months because you were super busy with them or you didn't have time to do them. Yeah. We'd rather you turned off that page and then even if you never turned soakaways back on, it's better to have it there than obviously not have it at all. Yeah. Because there might even just be a page you're like, oh, I wish I kept that because I remember that being quite a nice little paragraph or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so let's just create a test page then. So, okay, so the first thing you've got is a name for a page. So that is the name of the page you want it to be. So if it was a service, it'd be the name of the service. So Soakaways or whatever it might be. So I'm just going to call this I'll just call this test service. So this is what I was mentioning about before about the categories. So under this categories, I have a choice of what category I would like it to sit under. So if that category didn't exist, then that's when you would need to come to structure categories and create a new category first.
Yeah.
So let's just say, obviously you've got commercial, domestic, and eco build. Let's say you'd have another one. Maybe you literally wanted to separate agricultural into its whole new sector just because it's such a key thing for you guys. Then you need to create that category first.
Yeah.
I'll just stick this under commercial. Is default just basically means you want this to be the main page for commercial. So always basically set that to no, just leave that as no. Otherwise it will override this page, the commercial page.
Yeah. And
then you've got a thing called slug. So a slug essentially is the URL of the page. But all you need to remember is just to click this generate button. And essentially just remove it lowercases it and replaces any spaces with hyphens. And if you were to use like characters in here, which I think are not allowed, it would just null them out for you.
Right, okay.
Just so, yeah, you essentially can't have spaces in a URL. So I can't say commercial space.
It wouldn't work with it.
So it would just say page not found.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's essentially setting up the name of the page. The next thing you've got is called a head section. So this is to do with this is all to do a bit with SEO, which Mandy has gone through and done your top level pages. So you'll see that at the top you've got your page title in here. So it says commercial water borehole and geothermal drilling services as the page title.
Yeah.
So you can specify a page title in here. It's not required. So what will happen is if I was to leave this blank, it would just take the name of the page as the page title.
Yeah.
But obviously that might not be the best. So for example, if Manny didn't do it for this page, this would just say commercial.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously now it's saying commercial water borehole and geothermal drilling services, which is obviously going to pick up more search results.
Yeah.
Obviously you can't just type whatever in here. It has to be relevant to what you're actually talking about. So you can't just stuff it with like keywords. It has to be to do with what you're talking about essentially. But
yeah.
You might want to say, so this is called test page. You might want to specify a location. So maybe you were targeting a certain area. So you're talking about water borehole. In Glastonbury or something like that.
Yeah.
So that would be a okay page title. The next bit is called metadata. The only thing you need to remember to do is the description. So don't worry about the author. So on this examples, if you click description, it will stick it in there for you.
Yeah.
And then this is the longer bit. So if I was to search for water boreholes in London or something. So if I was to take any one of these search results, doesn't matter which one. So this bit here will be the page title, which I showed you before. So this bit here. Ooh. Two seconds as I move that. Okay. The bit below here will be the meta description. So it's just it's basically a bit of a longer text, so an intro to the page.
Yeah.
Again, you kind of want to talk about what you're talking about on the page. So you can't just you can't just basically have a comma separated list of keywords, because Google will negatively rank you for that. So it has, what you're saying here has to kind of be sentences and has to make sense. So you can't just say like geothermal, comma, soakaways, comma. Kind of has to be a sentence.
Yeah,
it has to be good English, essentially.
Yeah.
And you've got a certain character count, so I believe it's 155 characters. So there's 55 for the page title and 155 for the description. So
yeah,
custom description. Okay, and then you can just add that in. And that's essentially that for the head bit. So that's Google's side kind of ticked off and done.
Right.
The next bit is the body bit. So this is actually what the customer would see on the front end. So if I was to take soakaways, so it's essentially this middle part of the page. So we obviously always add in the header and footer to the page. These are a good example of widgets. So instead of us having to add the footer and the header every time, we set it up as a widget, which we apply to all pages. So by default, just adds them all in. And it might be something that we could do for other things as well. So trying to think of an example. Let's say you were having a lot of the commercial stuff is specific to each page, but if you wanted to say you want to have a generic commercial banner at the top for all of the pages, we could set up a commercial widget which would then apply to all of the pages underneath here.
Yeah.
So you wanted a banner up there, instead of having to create that banner 4 times, we just create it once and apply it to all 4 pages.
So
that's just example widgets. So this is essentially what the page you're going to be writing about. So a bit like this one, pump installations and systems. So if you're kind of proficient in Word, you should be okay using this.
Yeah.
We've got your main styles in here as well. So you've got your heading 1, so we can say test page. Obviously you can type whatever you like here. So this is example text. You can put in obviously paragraph heading 2s and stuff like that, some bullet points. If you hover over any of these, by the way, it kind of tells you what they do.
Yeah.
But one thing you might want to stick in is some images. So I think I briefly showed you under tools, you've got your media section.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can actually add the images kind of as you're creating a page, which is probably the method that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to stick an image in here. What I can do is just click insert media image. So what I could do is, obviously there's quite a few images on your website already. So if it's one that you've already uploaded, then you can kind of just find it and reuse it. So for example, if I was to come into commercial, I wanted this drill image in here again, I can just select that and it's stuck it in there. I can then choose whether I want it to be centered, right aligned or left aligned.
Yeah.
You can kind of just have a play with these and just find what you think works best. One thing you probably want to do is add what's called a text alternative.
Right. Okay.
Essentially, all you need to really know is that it's just brownie points from Google, essentially. So Google will like it when you add alternative text in for an image. And essentially what it is just a description about the image. So if anyone was browsing with their images turned off, it would show the text instead of the image.
Yeah.
So you can say drilling rig. Something like that. It doesn't have to be that detailed, just as long as you're describing what the image is.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the next thing you probably want to do is, obviously it might be a new image that you want to insert, so obviously not one that you've already got. So if I click insert images, choose which folder to stick it into. I'll stick it into geothermal just because there's none in there at the moment. So you've then got this choose files button at the bottom.
Yeah.
So that would then go to your local PC, so you can find images on here.
Yeah.
Whatever you might want to find. So I'll just stick this one on. And then what you can do with this image is then you have the option to modify it as well. So I believe this image is quite large. So this image is 5,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels, roughly.
Yeah.
And that is quite large, to be honest. So most people's laptops or even like PC monitors are less than 2,000 pixels wide.
Yeah.
So there's no real reason to upload an image which is that big. So what we might want to do is resize this. So there's a few different ways we could do this. So we could come to percentage, just do a percent of that. So I could say I only want it to be a quarter of the size. So I can just say scale.
Yeah.
And then I can kind of crop which bit of the image I want in there. And you'll see that width and height is now a lot smaller.
Yeah.
You can kind of flip the image as well. So if I wanted it to be flipped horizontally or vertically, I could do. Or I could zoom into a certain part of the image. And then once you're happy with that, you can click Save and Close.
Yeah.
Then I should be able to upload this and then stick this one in here now. Just delete that again. Right. So then the other thing you could do, and this is something that we might set up for you as well, is if I was to come back into geothermal, if I was to upload another image, just take this one. So we also have this scale to size. We can set up some image templates in here for you, which essentially will set the size to the size that we kind of want it to be. So we got one here for showcase, which is 1,000 pixels by 750 pixels. So it would just crop it to the right shape for you. Essentially, you might have to drag it as to which bit of the image you kind of want to focus on, because this image seems to be in the right dimensions, but it might be that you're cropping off a little bit of the sides or a bit of the bottom of the top. And that might be something we set up for something like blog posts. So it just means that all of the images are the same size. You don't have ones that are like bigger than others and smaller than others. So it's quite a neat thing to do. So I can click Save and Close on that. Upload that. Oh, by the way, we kind of default upload images at 80%. The quality. The reason for this is it's kind of the best compromise between performance and visual quality of the image. So if you were to upload an image at 100%, the size of it, so the actual physical size, so not necessarily dimensions of it, but the actual size it takes for someone's computer to download the image is quite large.
Yeah.
Whereas if we set it to 80%, it means that the size is quite small, but also to the human eye, there's not really much of a quality change. Obviously, if you start changing that to like 40%, the image is going to start looking blurry and things like that. But at 80%, it's kind of a good compromise between the two. There might be some cases where you're like, no, I'm happy to sacrifice some speed because I really want this image to be like, pixel perfect. So yeah, you're free, more than welcome to change that as you see fit. But we just by default set it to 80%. Okay, so that's how to insert some images. So some other things that you can do is we've got this thing called templates as well. And this will just help you getting a layout that you might like to have. So for example, we've got this here where we've got 3 images in a row.
Yeah.
Or we've got 2 images in a row like this. So in here, we've got different grids that we can kind of set up, which it'll put some dummy text in there, but you can then edit it to put what you like in there. So I could say I want a grid of 2, and now it's put some text on the right hand side and left hand side. So you could have some a bunch of text here, whatever you might like. Go to text, and then here you could replace this with your image, so you can then have your image on the right hand side, and the text wrapping on the left. And this is quite neat because it will actually work on mobile as well. So once it gets to a certain size, that content here, so I actually change it for an image, just that image will basically go underneath the text at a certain size. So instead of it like wrapping and merging and the text getting really close to this image, it will kind of readjust itself on the fly and work nicely on mobiles. So yeah, we've got a grid of 2, grid of 3, grid of 4, so that if you find that you needed any more, you can just obviously ask us and we can obviously add some else in. And you've got these other layouts which are to be used with a combination of text and images. So that's essentially what I did with this here. So I just set up a grid of 3 and then just replace the text for 3 different images. And this is where you would probably want to use the image template, the image presets or templates, because it made sure that these images are the same size. Otherwise, you might find that you've got a portrait image here, a landscape image here. So this image is like maybe this high, so it's coming down to here. This one's a bit shorter, and then this one's longer again. It just looks a little bit messy. Whereas now these images are kind of exactly the same height, so it looks quite nice. So that's that. Okay. So the other thing you might want to do is add a link. So to add a link, the first thing you want to do is kind of hover over the text that you want to become a link. You can do this for images as well. So you could make an image a link. And then you can come to this little chain, a little chain-like looking button, and click link, and it will ask you for a link URL. So you could do 2 different things here. You could either link to a page on your website, or you could link to an external page, so maybe like a BBC News article or something like that. So if you're linking to a page on your website, so let's just say I want to link to the page here, what you need to do is, you could copy the full web address, but because it's on your website, you only need everything after the .co.uk, so basically the first / after the UK upwards, because it basically knows we're already on the Matthew B. Downing website. The reason for this is you can paste the full URL. It's not really a bad thing to do. It's just, let's say you were to rename your business, and let's just say you were said that we want a new domain, Dan. We don't want to be called Matthew B. Downing. We want to be called just Matthew Downing. We would then there need to be a whole big exercise to go through and make sure all the links then specify Matthew Downing and not Matthew B. Downing. Whereas if you just got the /, it doesn't matter what you change your domain name to be in the future, these links will always work as long as these pages obviously exist. But if you're linking to like an external website, so let's just say a water website, then you need to specify the full website address, because then the website needs to know that you're kind of linking to someone else's website and not your own. So you need to specify the full web address. So that would be an internal link. And you'll see it's now got a green kind of link on it. And then, an external link, you would just paste in the full web address.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so one other thing you can do. So you've got the styles button here as well. And we've created some styles that we think you might want to use. And every now and then. Again, if you find you want some more styles in here, just let us know. We can kind of customize this admin panel for you.
Yeah.
So we've got in here, obviously you've got your different heading styles, but we've also got like small text and large text. So if you want that text to be a little bit bigger, you can use these styles. Change that.
What size is it now on the website?
Sorry, what's that?
So on the website, the text on the website, what size is that at the moment?
So by default, when you start typing, it's like 17 pixels.
Right, okay.
Which is like the default size that the browser kind of set. So the main body text will always be this size.
Yeah.
I think it slightly gets smaller on mobile just to shrink relatively down with their screen size. And then things like this here are your heading styles. But you might want to have, say, you might not want a heading style. You might just want to say at the bottom here, say after this last paragraph, please get in contact with us on 07 blah, 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 blah. You might want that to stand out a little bit. So you could make that a large bit of text, which I've done here.
Yeah.
Or you can have...
I tell you something. Can you go back to geothermal quickly?
Yeah.
I just noticed that. Harness the Earth's natural heat with geothermal boreholes.
I guess I'm messing the H. That's right. We can change that in a second.
I've never noticed that before, mate.
Yeah, there's the type of things that like you'll look at the website 15 times and be like, yep, we're ready to go live, and there'll still be something like that you'll spot. That's why we always say we have a soft launch for a couple of weeks just to iron out any little things, and then you can go shouting about the rooftops about it.
Yeah, no, because that's it, mate. I was just because I've been so sucked into the website, there's going to be so much I'm going to miss because I've been looking at it all the time.
That's the thing, because you look at it so often, you miss the obvious things that people probably pick up on first. Like you're looking at more of the bigger picture, and that's not necessarily like the individual words that you're actually
that's it.
Out. Yeah. So you can also you also got a small one here. So maybe you wanted to add some terms and conditions at the bottom of a page. You could obviously make those a little bit smaller. But what you can also do is you'll see that these ones are currently grayed out.
Yeah.
So they only allow you to do it on a link. So if I was to then hover over this link, what I could do is then turn this into a button.
Right.
So then this will be a button style. Obviously it won't be green, it'll be your on your website. So you can make links into buttons as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, anything in here that you think, oh, it'd be really cool to have that, then just let us know. And a bit like the templates, we can kind of add it in just for your site. So we can kind of customize this to make it as easy for you to use. And essentially what we want to do is we want to allow you to have control as to how the page looks, but we kind of want to do it within the remit of the house style. So we don't want you to start putting, obviously I know you wouldn't, but we don't want you to start putting like pink text in and things like that. So we'd only ever allow you to have stuff that fits in with the website really. So if you said, oh, I want a blue text in here, we'd be like, yep, sure, we can add it in, but it'll be this blue, for example. It won't be a different color blue.
Yeah.
Okay. So everything else really, you can kind of just hover over and it will tell you what it kind of does. So insert media file, again, we'll just go through to the actual the file area. So that's where you'd have like PDFs and things like that. So you could upload a link to a PDF. Say too much on it. So I think that's probably the most things you'll probably use. There are some more things you can do, a little bit clever things on here. So you can insert widgets. So then if you wanted to, you could insert a form onto a page any way you like. So if you were to create a form, then you can then add it into the page. So I could add in a get in touch form to this page if I wanted to.
Right, okay,
just stick it in. And then there are some other ones in there as well, which I don't think Google Analytics chart would be something you'd really want to stick on your front end menu. That's already kind of set up for you. You could do like a poll, but again, I can't see that being massively relevant to you. So yeah, a form and maybe a carousel might be useful to you. So a carousel is just basically a rotating images that you could have. So you could have a slideshow essentially.
Yeah.
So instead of having like 3 static images in, like we had on the systems page, you might want to have just one big image which rotates through these 3 images.
Yeah.
Instead. So you could add that onto a page if you wanted to. Okay, so that's essentially that really. Just have a little play essentially and see what you think, and if there's any additional styles and templates you want, then just let us know and we can kind of add them in. So the next thing you've got is the display. So by default, whenever you create a new page, we stamp in today's date and the time we started creating this page in. So
yeah,
if I was to publish this page, it's obviously going to show on the front end. But what you could do, and this might be more useful for blog posts, let's just say you've got a bit of downtime, you've got like a couple hours to write some blog posts. What you could do is write 3 or 4 blog posts, or however many you can fit into 2 hours. Maybe it's just a couple or whatever. What you don't want to do is release them all at once. What's actually better to do is kind of separate them by a week or something like that.
Right, okay.
So you could write 3 blog posts all on the same day.
Yeah.
But then that would be you sorted for 3 weeks, so you wouldn't have to upload another blog post for 3 weeks. So if you're heading into a mega busy period, it would just by default upload those blog posts as to when you set them to. So I could say, for example, for this page, even though I've created it now, I could say I don't want it to go live until next Friday.
Yeah.
Which means it just won't show until it bypasses this date. Again, you can obviously be really specific with it as well and say it's an actual time. You could just set that to be 000, which just basically means any time after midnight it will go live. Yeah. So I don't see that being massively useful for your pages, but maybe something like blog posts, it could be quite useful.
Yeah.
Review date essentially just sends you, I believe, an email notification just to review a page. So you might want to set these up on some of your key pages for a year's time, just to have a little manual jog, just to be like, hey, can you check this page to make sure everything we're still talking about is relevant?
Yeah.
And then you've got an expiry date. Don't think you'd ever really use this, but it will essentially, once it passes this date, it will pull the page down. So I'm thinking of an example off the top of my head. Maybe you were to have like I don't see you necessarily doing this, but maybe you'd have like an open day or something like that. So something that's time sensitive, and once the event's passed, you kind of don't really want to advertise it or display it on the website anymore. So you could say after the 31st, just pull the page from the website.
Yeah.
But by default, we just obviously leave that blank. Okay, so this is what I was talking about before about deleting a page. So rather than deleting a page, you'd come in to edit a page and just make it active now.
Yeah.
And essentially it does the same as deleting a page. So that's all to really say on that one. It just means we can then get stuff back. Show an XML sitemap basically just means, do you want this to be indexable on Google? Yeah. So there are cases where you might have pages where it might just contain some information where you're not really that bothered, or you don't want Google to actually rank it or put it in search results. It's more of like a resource, for example. So let's say on a let's say when you get a new sale through or whatever, you send a customer a link to a page that you've created on your website, which is just a processes page, which basically tells them what steps happen next, what they need to do, and things like that. You might not want every person that comes onto the page be able to find that, but it might be a manual link that you send out to them on an email. So you can create it on your website, host it on your website, so it's a bit of information, and you can link through to it. But you don't want Google to you don't really care if Google knows about it, so you'd say no on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that might be might be a use case for it. So say if you're sending like a guide thing or something like that, something along those lines. Admin is blocked. Don't worry about that. That I think is just for Mandy. If she ever does some in the future, does some SEO work, she'll obviously go to town on the meta description and page title. And I think she by blocking it just doesn't allow you to override the title and description.
Yeah,
we have had in the past where we've where Mandy's obviously made some changes to the title and description, and the customers have gone through and just put what they like in there when really we've changed it for a specific campaign or something like that. So yeah. Okay, so then that's essentially it. So the last thing you've got then is you've got two choices between a save and a publish.
Yeah.
And the main difference between the two is save means that you're going to save the changes to the admin panel, but it won't be reflected on the front end.
Yeah.
So because this is a new page, if I was to click save, it won't this new page won't exist on the front end, but it will still exist on the admin panel. So a reason you might use this is, say you had 10 minutes to spare before you finish work, or at 5 or 6 or whatever, and you're halfway through doing these changes. Obviously you don't want to publish them half done.
Yeah,
you kind of need to save them so you can come back to them at another time. So what you do is just hit save, and then you can come back and edit them. So it's created my page, but I won't actually be able to find that page on the front end, but it will be here in the admin panel. So if I was to click this, it's going to say page not found because I haven't actually published that page yet. You'll see under here it says status, and it says it's a draft status. So all these other pages are authorized, whereas this one is just in draft. So now if I come back and edit it and actually say publish, it was changed that to be authorized. And now if I was to refresh this link, you'll see it's added our page in, our buttons. So yeah, that's essentially that. Right, so I'm just going to do what I told you not to do, but I'm pretty sure we'll never need this test service page again. So I'm actually going to delete this one because, it was just a test. Okay, so that's pages. Blog posts are basically 95% the same. There's just a few differences. So we'll just whiz through this one. So if I was to click new, so you've got the same thing again. You've got name. So we won't create one, but I'll just type something here. So name, test blog, category. So there's no categories for your blogs as of yet. Again, this is a bit like the tag situation. Until you have like a bunch of, or at least 3 or 4 blog posts in there, I wouldn't bother categorizing them.
Yeah,
it's something we can kind of go back through and do afterwards, or in the future, maybe 6 months down the line. Again, a slug, so everything just needs a URL, but all you need to remember is just hit generate. So with a blog, the main difference is you've got like a summary. So I don't think you've got any blogs on your no, you haven't, but essentially what it looks like is you've got a title, an image which represents that blog, and a bit of summary text about it.
Yeah.
So you have a chance here just to write a brief little summary about the blog, upload an image which represents that blog, and then the rest behaves like a page. So actually within your body content. So once I was to click through into this blog, it would then open up like a page, which would have the full article within it, which you can obviously add images, more images to, and more text and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty much the same. The only other difference as well is you can relate blog posts together. So once you've got quite a few in here, if I was to click into a blog post, could then have related blog posts at the bottom of the article. So it's just a way of keeping a user engaged and on your site. So the longer they spend on your site, the better, really, because it helps increase your search ranking and stuff like that. So if they're reading one post about 5 benefits of a water borehole, And then at the bottom, you said you had another blog post which says 5 benefits of geothermal. They might then click into that and then continue reading on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then finally you got tags, but again, a bit like categories, we just haven't set them up for blog posts yet, but we can do in the future.
Yeah.
The difference between tags and blog posts categories, sorry, is you can only have one category per blog post.
Yeah.
So for example, I could only tag this, I could only put this into, like, say, a commercial category. Whereas with tags, you can apply multiple tags to a blog post. So you might find that a blog post ticks many boxes essentially. So it might be talking about, it might apply to all 3 sectors. So if it's something quite generic, it might apply to eco, build, commercial, and domestic. So for example, the benefits of a water borehole probably does go across all 3 sectors. If you're just talking generically, that is. Okay, and that's it really. So a blog post is largely the same as a page.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing that we'll talk about then is a showcase item. So this is a custom module that we've built just for you guys.
Yeah.
So it should be nice and easy for you to fill out. So let's click new. So again, you've got the name of the showcase. So you just say test showcase.
Should that be like the name of the customer potentially, or the way we've done it?
Yeah. So so it'll be the name of the customer.
Yeah,
so
cool.
For this one, we've called it Singleton Engineering.
Yeah.
So you could say name of customer.
Yeah.
A location in there as well. Okay. So for this one, we do have categories.
Yeah.
Because obviously we need the categories because this is how it filters out here.
Yeah.
So if I was to go to commercial, obviously you've still got your Singleton Engineering in here.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was to go to domestic, obviously there's no showcase items for domestic at the moment.
Yeah.
So I could stick this one in domestic. Again, slug generate.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got a small little bit of summary here. I'm just going to copy this again just because. Why not? Okay, so then you've got a main image. So that's, again, this main image here, which represents that showcase.
Yeah.
There's another bit in here where you can obviously add additional images in as well, but this is kind of like the one which represents it. I think it also is the one, click read more, is the one that's used in this banner here as well.
Yeah.
So basically, the best image you've got, use it for this one, essentially. I'll just stick that up there. It's a bit small, but it will do. Okay, so then you've got additional details. And essentially, this is just asking you for things that you might have about the showcase. So this is what we asked you about. Give us everything that you possibly could have for a perfect showcase scenario. And we'll give it to you here. But none of these are required. So if you didn't have them, then it doesn't really matter too much. So we could say showcase Somerset. So you've got benefits in here. Just do that as like a bullet point list. So,
yeah.
So services are basically a list of services that you've used. So it might just be water. Let's just say water, or because they and geothermal or something like that. And then type essentially just means the type of customer they are. So if it's domestic, you might just want to say, you might not want to specify type for domestic. That's probably more applicable to commercial.
Yeah.
So if you were to leave that blank, we just wouldn't show it. So if I was to go in here, obviously you've got commercial in here, and the type is engineering.
Yeah.
If you didn't have anything for here, we just hide that little small bit of section of text there. So we'll leave that blank just to prove a point. And then finally, you've got a testimonial. And again, this isn't required. So if you really couldn't get a testimonial off the customer, I wouldn't say that should be a reason to hold you back from uploading a showcase, because we would just hide this section. So as long as you got like the rest of the text you wanted to talk about, then you could just leave that blank. So I'll just leave that blank for now, just to again prove a point that you don't necessarily need to have it in there. Again, you've got your head section and then your body section. So your body section is just a free bit of text for you to type what the hell you like in there. So that's this bit here. So you could kind of use the same, you could use the same sort of, not layout, but the same sort of wording. So you could always start with an overview, something, and then the results. Or you could just, if it's different for this one, because obviously it might be a different service, you could type something else in here. So, but we'll stick with the same. So overview. Let's get some overview. So you could have something like the overview, the process, and then result. Results. So something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So you can type whatever you like in here. You can obviously add images in as well, or YouTube videos if you had one. You can embed a YouTube video in there and stuff like that. So we've essentially just allowed you to kind of have a bit of free reign on what you want to put in there. And then obviously you've got display as before, admin, and then you've got images. So this will any additional images will load up as a gallery at the bottom of the page. So you'll see here you've got this, and you have the ability to have a slideshow, and we obviously handle that for you. You just need to add the images in. So I don't think you even need to worry about the image sizing here really, because we make sure they're all the same size.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Because it's within the module, so you can just come into your computer here and let's just find some images here. So I could just choose a couple of these. Those images in. So now I click publish. So now I've asked to go back to your showcase. So now you've got another showcase in here.
Yeah.
Which this one should be a domestic one. So I was to click domestic, it comes up under this one. If I click read more, you've got your overview, process. You'll see the type is hidden here. So we're just talking about the sector, the services that you've used. And then you've got the benefits in here. We've obviously swapped out the bullet point to be your logo just to look quite nice.
Yeah.
The testimonial was hidden because obviously you haven't put any text in here. But obviously, if you wanted to, you could come back through and add a testimonial later down the line.
Yeah.
And then you've got your gallery of images in here, essentially, and you can see they're all kind of sized the same, no matter how big or small they are. Kind of looks quite nice in this like grid format.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's super easy to add a showcase.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's something that I could do, can't I? Pretty straightforward, really.
Yes. The showcases are literally, we're just kind of asking for you for information. And you give it to us, and we'll make sure it's styled the same on each one, so it gives it consistency. Obviously, you don't have to worry about the styling of this grey box. Or
it says name of customer on there. Where's name of customer in the showcase?
That's the title. So.
Oh, sorry, of course, mate. Yeah.
Page name. So we just said name of customer, but that would be like Singleton Engineering or Mr. John's Apple Farm or whatever you might want to call it. So yeah, it can be whatever you want it to be. Okay, I think that's essentially it. Let me just remember to delete that showcase. again,
so even like showcases, you can make it active, inactive, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and with showcases, you've also got this like reorder function as well. So you can kind of drag and drop. So, for example, here, you'll see if I go back here, your singleton engineering, even though we've just added your this new one in here, is appearing below.
Yeah.
And that's because we've got this sort by on there. We can change it. Can change it by default to be done by the release date. But I think it's done by the order you choose.
Yeah.
So you can actually, if you have like a really standout or a few standout showcases, you can kind of drag them to be at the top.
Okay, cool.
So then you want them to appear first in that list of things there. So yeah, you can do that. I don't know if that reflected on there, but I'll have a look at that as to why it might not be doing that. Might be because it was here. Show. So by default we're doing it by release date, but we could change it to be by custom order or by name.
Yeah.
So I could save that. Should. Yeah. See, now it's reflected to be the same as what's done here. So yeah, I could change that back and then save that. And now singleton engineering is now back at the top. So yeah, it's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Right, I'll delete this one. Checking I'm deleting the right one. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it, really. For the things I think you'll be doing, obviously, we're still around and things. So if you ever need some support or you want us to do something a bit more
cool.
Design orientated, then you'd obviously just get in contact with us and we can obviously sort it out for you. Yeah, so right, last thing then. So I think I have set you up as a user. Do you want me to just send you your password through to you in an email after the call?
Yes, please, mate. Yeah.
Okay, I'll reset that in shortly then.
What would my username be?
So your username will just be your email address.
Right, okay, cool.
I have set up 2 accounts, so I don't know which one you want to use.
Yeah, can you use the Matthew Downey one? It's my personal. So yeah, if you can use my login as Stephen at matthewbdowning.co.uk, will that work?
Yeah, it can be whatever you like. So then, okay, I'll just say change the username. Okay. Sorry, what was it? Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen at matthewbdowning.co.uk.
Spell like that, isn't it?
That's it, mate. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, so I'll reset your password on that one and give you the login details for that. All right, let me just stop the recording.